Lennox Lewis, Olympic gold medalist and former heavyweight champion of the world. One of the finest boxers Great Britain has ever produced.
I'm just a normal person. I try and live a normal life. But that's not too easy, especially because I'm doing big things in the boxing business.
Lennox has got a good chin. He's been in there with some of the toughest, the biggest punchers in the heavyweight division today, and he's come out on top.
He's got the height of Ali, he's got a good jab. He doesn't fly like a bee, but then again, he punches much harder.
I think the most important thing to point out here is I don't think we've seen anything like the best of Lennox Lewis.
Me, it's not about money, it's about glory, really, because when you look in the history books, it won't have how much money Lennox Lewis has made. It's going to have what he's achieved.
Lennox was born in London. At the age of 12, he moved to Canada. In high school, Lennox excelled at sports, including American football, volleyball, and of course, boxing.
Okay? He don't like losing, you know. Get in there! Get in there! No!
Lennox's best friend is his brother, Dennis. It's his job to organise the day-to-day running of the Lewis camp.
$60,000 or $50,000.
That means everything, from organising the cars to be washed to doing a $5 million fight. Okay, I'll get him to give you a call.
You go for that shot, number 11, and then come down the side.
You have to have people around that you can depend on, that you know that you can trust, and you know, you have to have like a small team around you that you can all go through together.
Supposed to come in at 7 o'clock. Hurry up.
Dennis, call him Daddy D. He's like the father, overseer of, you know, especially everything I do, and making sure everything's on track.
I used to live my life in the pool halls and snooker halls back in East London. I was a hustler. I took Lennox there a couple of times, but he weren't that good, so he went boxing.
He's my brother, so you could say not only my confidant, my personal advisor, brother, you know, all the above.
Violet Blake, mother and driving force behind Dennis and Lennox. Although the brothers were separated for many years, she made sure they never lost touch with each other.
Mom keeps us straight, you know. It's funny because I'm always saying to my mom, Mom, do you know how old I am?
We don't joke with Mum. Mum's the governor, as we would say.
You're always a kid to your mother. You're always a kid. You never grow out of being a kid.
You know, when it's time for dinner, we have to be down for dinner in like 5 minutes. Who isn't afraid of their mum?
When we was teenagers, we didn't really grow up with each other, so we met each other back in manhood.
I'm the jokey one, you know. Yeah. I'll do like funny thing on camera and I joke around with him.
Yeah,
but he's more serious than I am.
I always thought it'd be something special because at like 12 and stuff, he was like the same size as me.
Yeah.
You know,
hyperactive
and hyperactive, very hyperactive.
To succeed in the ring, Lennox needed someone with a sound financial mind.
I'm Panos Iliadis. I'm Lennox's promoter, in charge of his management team. There's a very, very close unit between Lennox, myself, his mother, and Dennis. The success behind Lennox is the fact that no one's been able to break that bond, and we have continued to work together like a family, moving forward in the world heavyweight boxing scene. Lennox will be fighting Morrison on October.
Lennox's career needed a cash injection. It was Panis's investment of £250,000 that put Lennox on the road to heavyweight supremacy.
I asked how much it would cost to finance the boxer, and they said about £250,000. With £250,000, we would make him world heavyweight champion. £1.8 million later, we beat Razor Ruddock on the 31st of October 1992. And from that day, I've recouped my money. I'm now showing a small profit.
Panis is part of the family, and he steps in when he has to step in to do certain things in give you an example, discussing fights, who to fight, and the money aspect.
Lennox is a warrior. He's proud of his profession. He wants to be the best of his kind in his profession. The money comes second. But fortunately, the money actually also is enormous. So the greater the prize, the greater the risk, the greater the money.
It's funny. I'm in a weird sport, and I'm a person that doesn't like getting hit. So I think that's what makes me good.
Lennox wants to be the best. And the only way to prove that is by fighting anybody and being skillful enough to take as least punches as possible.
In 1989, the first boxer to test Lennox as a professional was Al Malcolm.
16 stone, 7 pounds.
The crowd at the Royal Albert Hall knew they were witnessing the birth of a champion.
Lennox very strong, very determined fighter. I thought he was pretty confident. He started off pretty rapid, yeah. He was very eager to impress.
The first initial contact, of getting punched or even giving a punch, that's when you can tell, well, I'm in the fight, And the first round is basically just a feel-out round to see what the guy's strengths and weaknesses are.
The punch that he gave me in the first round was like a very quick shot to the body, to the head, yeah, and put me down, yeah. It kind of hurt, but it surprised me more than anything.
For me, I just go out there and just hit them hard, down low, and hit them hard in the head and see how they react.
Put me down with a good shot. With a good shot, got back up, and I thought, right, okay, let's go.
I can usually tell by the eyes. This fright, it's like the key to your soul.
In the second round, we came out and flicked out a pretty sharp jab, which caught me, straight to the eye, and the pain was just unbelievable. And I went down from that and was unable to carry on. And you've got sort of like 10 seconds to recover to get yourself back together, but obviously at the end of the day, I didn't beat a count.
It's a thrill. All of a sudden you feel great and high and mighty, and that guy's just, boy, I've just lost. It's me competing against my fellow man, proving that we're the best.
It was manager Frank Maloney's big fight aspirations that set Lennox loose amongst the world's heavyweights.
I'm quite stubborn in negotiation, but I believe my job is to protect Lennox Lewis's interest, and I'm not worried about who I upset, as long as I keep Lennox Lewis happy, and that's my role in the team. Lennox Lewis's career from day one has been a calculated movement of moving to becoming the best heavyweight in the world.
Good round.
The first obstacle in Lennox's path was European heavyweight Mike Simawelu.
For a split second.
Whenever you get two guys of 16 stone fighting each other, only one of them has to land that punch first, then it's good night to the other guy.
Oh, and a left hook has Simawelu down, and the African won't want to take too many of them.
It feels good. There's an excitement about it. It's like winning the lottery, I suppose. I think it's the best feeling in any kind of sport there is.
He's a good fighter for this day and age. Whether he'll prove he's a better fighter than Ali, only time will tell.
I can't think of any fighter with as similar style to Muhammad Ali as Lennox Lewis in modern day.
Gary Mason, the bulldog of British boxing, was unbeaten in 38 fights. Everything changed the day he tangled with Lennox Lewis.
When I think of Lennox Lewis, pain comes to my eye. And that's because Lennox Lewis was my hardest fight. And I remember as soon as the bell went, the very first punch was a boom, solid right, and it caught me, and I thought, he can punch as well,
Lennox is 6'5", he towers over most people, and he's got a great left hook.
I charged into him and did the best I could, but the referee stepped in and stopped the fight to save me from further punishment. And I think that was a turning point in Lennox's career, because up until then, he hadn't really generally been tested, and he went into a ring against somebody that was unbeaten and who could actually punch. And by getting through that obstacle at that stage, it gave him, I think, the courage and the belief to go forward and do the things that he actually done.
Whether it's boxing or whatever sport, you know, just go out there and just try your best. As long as you've known that you've tried your best, that's all that matters.
The art of boxing is hit your opponent without being hit yourself. All these guys that want to have punch-ups, let them have a punch-up. But I'd say, here, get on your bike, box, move, you've got good movement, use it.
Caught McCrory on the end of the chin. It's all over.
Lennox gets closer to his goal as he disposes of opponents with frightening regularity.
Oh, good one, uppercut!
The time had now come for a head-to-head with the awesome Razor Ruddock. But could Lewis match the dangerous Canadian?
Ruddock was a very dangerous, big puncher, and he come over, he looked the part. And it also announced Lennox on the world stage because the Americans knew Razor Ruddock. They knew the strength of him.
Razor Ruddock fight, that was really important for me because of the fact everybody thought I was going to lose.
I mean, I had Razor Ruddock to beat him, I really did.
The first round came out and I was kind of feeling him out. I was staying on my toes, moving around, making sure, staying out of the reach of his smash.
The Razor Ruddock fight was good, knocking him out in a couple of rounds because he'd given Mike Tyson a life and death full distance fight before that. So that was a good performance.
He looked down and all of a sudden he stuck his jab up. I think he was getting ready to do something. I never gave him time. I just stepped in, boom, boom. After that, the bell rang. I was so upset. I walked back to my corner. And all I kept on doing was watching him. My corner was talking to me and I wasn't even listening to them. All of a sudden, the bell rang again, boom. I seized the opportunity to come out like a cat and just use my speed. Boom, 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 boom. Couldn't handle it. The referee stopped it.
Shut my mouth when he beat Razor Ruddock. I thought, boy, he went out there and he done a number on him.
He's very fast, which is one of his main assets. He punches very hard, and he's very athletic for his, for his height.
By Lennox taking him out in the way that he did, it announced that, boom, Britain have a heavyweight who is very credible and can potentially do the damage which he went on to go and do.
Come on, let's go. Yo.
With the WBC title firmly under his belt, it's time for Lennox to relax with his inner circle.
Wicked. That's the only way you can describe it. It's wild. I mean, look, got some fish over here. Red snapper. Yes. Original hot pot. Hot pot. That's chicken in a pot and a pot.
I think Lennox takes advice well. He lets the businessman do the business, although he has a great input himself.
What's happening?
All right, there's more fish you want it. You want another fish?
Well, you know what? I didn't even know that was snapper. Pass it over.
Let me give you another snapper.
Yeah, definitely. We basically all work as a team with Frank, Panos, myself, Lennox. One person doesn't make a decision. We make it collectively. But I'm the captain.
No.
That's that.
Spin it around to its corner.
Now look at that fish. Basically, your body's your temple. I'm eating with more caution, especially nowadays, and being more true to myself when it comes to the food.
The problem with Lennox is he owns so much money in the ring, it doesn't bother him whether it's $100,000 or $500,000 deal.
Lovely. Maybe.
I don't think money is what Lennox is all about. It's about his goals and his achievements. His time is precious to him when he's away from the boxing ring.
Yo, Frank! Frank, come back! He allows me to be my own man. He doesn't treat me like no little kid or nothing. We have respect, mutual respect for each other. But ready for anything, anytime, anywhere. When they say I'm gonna fight tomorrow, I'm off, I'm ready. Make sure the guy's not good.
If the ship sinks, we'll sink it as well.
Seeing, we're all in it together.
October 1993. Lennox would go down in boxing history when he defended his WBC belt against the people's champion, Frank Bruno.
The best fight I saw you have, by the way, was against Bruno. Brilliant fight, because you were behind. Bang, bang, bang. The way he backed you up. You went forward, he backed you up again. Your determination paid off because you started boxing. When he started boxing, you started winning. And then all of a sudden, bang, you did the job.
Although I was at my worst, I still beat Frank Bruno at his best.
Bruno was good that night, but the thing is, it's the end that counts. When he did catch him, he didn't let go of him at all, and Bruno just broke up, and it was a spectacular finish.
And what did that was my left hook, my willpower, and sheer determination.
Lennox has got a good chin. He's been in there with some of the toughest, the biggest punchers in the heavyweight division today, and he's come out on top.
You have to be a good fighter to win the world title, and he was good to his word.
He can punch well with that right hand. Good puncher. One of Great Britain's best ever heavyweight champions of the world.
Now, who's the potential fighter? What, none of you guys can't fight?
With the fortune he's made from boxing, Lennox has decided to fund a college, his way of giving something back to the community.
It's a project that Lennox thought about, and he wanted to give some money back, you know, to the community. Just seemed the natural thing to do.
Show me what country you'd want to go to. Any country? On holiday? Somewhere warm? I still have a couple goals that I'm yet to complete. Obviously, the main one, which is the boxing one, but other one, bringing up the youths and showing the youths certain things, positive things. It's basically their world, and we're helping to curve it to a certain way. So whoever grabs the next racket's in.
There are lots of people in the media, in sport, high profile, who give to charities. But I don't think on the scale that this has been given, and also with the personal commitment.
You knee on it, it's supposed to help you. Seeing some of the students at the school and seeing their keenness, and you know, all of a sudden they have a music room or they have computers there, and you can see their eyes light up, and you see them say, yeah, this is what I want to take, I want to do this.
And this way as well, please. I know you put your head down.
That's what gives me the satisfaction. That's what makes me feel good.
There's high unemployment, lots of difficulties in the community, and really the college is here to give them a second chance, a fighting chance.
I'm a street man, I come from the street, and like, for me, to see something like this and to know my brother's done it, you know, I'm just happy.
It's really giving back an investment in young people who perhaps in Lennox's eyes might have been very similar. If things had been different, he may have felt that he could have been here too.
Things seemed easy at the top for Lennox, but his world was about to be turned upside down as he was matched against the outsider, Oliver McCall.
There wasn't no choice in fighting McCall. It was a mandatory defence where you had to fight Oliver McCall because he was the #1 challenger.
Lennox had been champion for a little bit. Things were getting a little bit easy. McCall was just another defence, and he strolled out. Bingo, one shot.
Obviously, it was a great shot, and he obviously treated McCall a bit too lightly there. I mean, everybody in the hall saw the right hand coming except Lewis.
He got clobbered with McCall when he got hit on the chin. He walked into a sucker punch. McCall just closes his eyes, screws his eyes out, and slings a great big right hand, and Lennox walked straight onto it.
Everybody was like really gloomy and sad. I said it's just a fight, you know. Boxing, you never know when you're going to lose, but you have to accept the winning and the losing.
I think there was one major thing that you said after the fight which really stuck in my mind was, you guys got to realise that, you know, I knew this could happen one day when I was first started boxing. We never really, you know, we just look as, you know, Lennox, unbeatable.
After his defeat against the underdog McCall, Lennox regained his status this year by beating Tommy Morrison on October the 7th. Lennox is now involved in a legal battle which prevents him from reaching his ultimate goal, a showdown with Iron Mike Tyson for the heavyweight crown.
Tyson is known all around the world. He has a certain aura around him with people and followers that, you know, see him as like the best boxer out there.
How are you training?
Good, man, good. Just keeping it up, man. When you start to get rough, so I have to give him 3 uppercuts.
I don't know what Mike Tyson has and the fire that's burning inside him.
Just rest for a little while and train.
Whatever it is, Lennox is more than capable of beating Mike Tyson.
I think that's just a fight that has to happen, you know.
Mike Tyson used to win most of his fights before he got in the ring.
It's hype, man, hype, pure hype. They think that can win fights.
Lennox is not at all scared of Mike, and that's where you have Lennox's ability to actually turn it up when it counts.
This guy fights a certain way, so it's like a recipe. And I'm cooking up a recipe, and I need different spices in this recipe.
To make it taste good.
Right.
You've got someone like Lennox who's a good box puncher, who can box and move, and then you've got Tyson who's just a slugger. And when you get a combination like that, that's a great combination for a fight. I mean, that would be the one the world will want to see.
You can't just go out there and say, all right, put up the best against me and prove that I'm the best. It's a monopoly, depending on who has the most money.
Lennox will fight Tyson. They will split between them anything between $100 and $150 million.
I would want to definitely compete against him and beat him and take away all that glory, all the fame he has, and put that towards myself, because I'm out to prove that I'm the best.
You've got to be your own man in the boxing world. I mean, when you're in that ring, you're on your own. They all say the ring's the loneliest place in the world.
Life's a jungle. In the ring's a jungle. And when you're in the ring, you have to try to become king of that jungle.
Although I've won a lot, I've become heavyweight champion of the world, and I've also had a mishap and lost it. You could say that I hit a pothole when I lost it to Oliver McCall, but, you know, I can see the rest of the road as a straight road and little hills I can deal with.
My ambition for him to go in there and do what he has to do for the next couple of years and get out of boxing and do something else.
You never know what happens in life. The only best thing you can do is basically make sure that you do your best.
You know, we can always look back and say, well, at least we did it correctly, and, you know, we did it as a team, and there was trust and brotherhood and everything else that goes along with it.